Hi, and welcome back to the Sales Growth Showcase, where we share insights from today's top sales leaders so that you can make more money and be better connected to those you serve. I am joined today by Mario Martinez Jr. Mario, I'm so grateful that we finally have a conversation together. Why don't you start out by briefly telling us a little bit about yourself and how you impact others?
Hey, Mark, thank you so much for having me on the Sales Growth Showcase podcast. This is great. It's been a couple of years that we've been trying to connect up together, and you got me and I got you. So I super appreciate it. A little background about myself. I'm Mario Martinez Jr., CEO and founder of Vingresso. We are the world's largest digital sales training and technology company, having served over 1,050 companies in the last 4.5 years. We help business owners, sales leaders, and sales teams like Juniper Networks, Proofpoint, and even the world's largest vanilla extract company, Virginia Dare, to book more meetings and increase their sales pipeline. And a little fun fact about myself, Mark, I just completed my 96th consecutive quarter in B2B sales. So it just completed in September, and I'm very excited to be part of almost 100 quarters of sales experience.
With all the success, all the experience, and congratulations on everything that you have going on, undoubtedly you have so much to share. So let's start off with, let's talk about some of the challenges in sales teams today. So with all the change, everything that's gone on over the last 2 years, plus sales itself is constantly changing and reshaping, what do you see as one of the biggest challenges that sales teams face today?
So, Mark, this is not my view. This is definitely going to be based on data because I'm a data guy. But I had a hunch, and this hunch started really about 8 years ago. And I kept asking the question, like, what is the thing that is the hardest thing for the seller today? And it started when I was a VP of sales at a software collaboration company. And when I was there at that particular company, I was noticing that it was very difficult for the sellers to be able to get that first conversation. So I really started thinking about this. And what I'm happy to report now is that we've got data to support my theory that was back then. So if you go back to June of 2020, that was right in the heart of the pandemic, we started running research and we started asking sellers, what is the hardest part of the sales cycle? Was it getting the first conversation, qualifying the opportunity, presenting a solution, or closing the deal? So we gave them 4 options. In June of 2020, 59% of sellers said getting the first conversation is the hardest part of selling. In September of 2020, we reran it 3 months later. 72% said getting the first conversation was the hardest part of the sales process. In April of 2021, 69% said getting the first conversation was the hardest thing. And we reran the study again. And just as of last week alone, October 2021, 69% of sellers and business owners and sales leaders and sales reps said getting the first conversation was the hardest. So you asked me the question, what is the biggest challenge? You said that sales teams and salespeople, business owners, business leaders are struggling with when it comes to growing sales. It's really prospecting, getting the first conversation. How do I do it at scale? And how do I do it so that I can hit and grow my revenue number? Now, I know if we think about this, one of the data points that we've always had in the sales industry centered on the percent of sellers that actually make quota. And that number sits anywhere between 50 to 60%. Every year, for I don't know how many years that I can think of after sitting in this VP of sales role, did I see research report after research report after research report showing that only 50 to 60% of sellers were hitting quota. And then, of course, everybody had all these ideas of the reasons why. Well, the reality is I kept looking at this and saying, oh my gosh, like if we go back to why is people not hitting quota? It's probably because they're not having enough conversations. Not that they're not closing out what they have, because the average, a close ratio is about 25%, and that hasn't changed much. But if you can move that needle to say 30%, 40%, hallelujah, you're going to be great. But if we rewind now and say, hey, if my average is 25%, and that's what it's been in terms of close ratio for eons of time, and you're not really moving the needle that much, let's go back to how do we get more conversations? And all roads lead back to prospecting. Prospecting is the hardest thing right now for sales leaders, sales teams, sales people, especially in pandemic era.
I certainly appreciate that insights, and no doubt the fact that you've continuously done this research and very consistently it's come back showing that having doing the prospecting, getting to that very first conversation, without question, it's something that I've struggled with in my business and building my business as well. So I'm looking forward to your response to the next question, which is really around what you see as the opportunity. So if we recognize getting that very first conversation, what do the tools today or the capabilities that I have at my disposal today let me unlock as the opportunity in getting those conversations?
So it's a really good question. And let me start out with the following phrase. A fool with a tool is still a fool. So throwing more tech at a sales rep who's having this problem is not necessarily the answer. Throwing tech at a rep with this problem, which, by the way, 69% say they have this problem. And that last number, by the way, was with over 1,300 respondents across the globe. It just heads up on that. So throwing more technology could help with the right type of skill training. A lot of this comes back down to not just a cadence tool that's going to pump out spray and pray type of messaging and, going to be 18 different touch points, 18 different messages, boom, boom, boom. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is understanding how to use technology and attract your target buyer. That boils down to the right sales messaging. Okay, so now we talk about the right sales messaging. Let's fast forward and think through, what do you need to include inside of a sales message to attract your target buyer? We recommend that all sellers utilize the PVC sales method. If you type in pvcsalesmethod.com, you'll go there and you'll actually see a script available inside of that particular ebook there. And with the PVC sales methodology, you're going to be focused on first part of your message, how to hyper personalize that message. Now, this is critical. It's not, hey, I noticed you speak German, and then move on into your subject line, into the body of your message. No. We're looking at, hey, Mario, I heard you speak at the Sales Growth Showcase. Or if this individual does not have, as an example, somewhere where they're speaking at, you're going to look at if there's nothing available on social media or any content that you can glean that would help you hyper personalize, nothing on their profile, which is possible, you're going to look to hyper personalize to, at the minimum, to the buyer persona. Example, if I'm talking to you, Mark, and you are a sales leader and you have nothing at all that I can glean off of your profile, it's completely naked, you've got no content there's nothing from the company that I can use. No problem. I'm going to reach out to you and say, hey, Mark, generally when I talk to sales leaders such as yourself, they have two common problems. Number one, they want to be able to book more sales conversations for their sales team members. And number two, they want to grow their sales pipeline. Okay, that is a messaging specific to the buyer persona that's speaking to the pain, that's personalizing it at a minimum to the buyer persona. Most reps spray and pray. And that's what we want to avoid, meaning it's product dump. I have this feature, that feature. Can we have a meeting? I want to have a meeting. Even if you don't have a requirement, I got a message in my inbox. This is real story. Got a message in my inbox that says, I don't care if you have any current requirements to solve for a need as pay as you go for Salesforce support. I don't care if you have a need for this. I don't care if you are thinking you have a future requirement. I still would like to have a meeting. What? We want to have a meeting with somebody that we don't even know is qualified? That doesn't make sense to me. So speak to the buyer persona is the opportunity. The other thing that I want people to think about is when you have this P for personalization, there are many different ways that you can relate to an individual. We got to be thinking about how to find that big fish on the wall. When we used to walk into offices in the old days, first thing that we were trained to do, look for the fish, look for the picture, look for something that we can say, hey, you got 2 kids. How old are they? Oh man, where was that fishing picture at? Oh, wow, that award that you just received. Tell me about that. So we're looking for those things to be able to personalize our messaging. Now the V for value. We've got to bring value into every one of our engagements with customers. Our reps, when they reach out to you, they're bringing in a blog, a white paper, an ebook, something that helps solve a specific business problem. And then you've got the C for the call to action. Now, most of us want to book the meeting. That's the ask. Can I have a meeting? Can I have a meeting? If you go for the meeting, please, if you're calling on an executive, understand that most executives are booked out at least 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks. So when you suggest a date and time, you don't send a message on Tuesday and say, can we meet on Thursday? That's stupid. What you do is you say, hey, today's Tuesday. I'm going to suggest a meeting for 2 weeks out at 9 a.m., 3 weeks out at 1 p.m., and 4 weeks out at 4 p.m. Why? Because most people are booked out at least 2 weeks. And if you do 9, 1, and 4, guess what you're going to find out? Do they like late afternoon, mid-afternoon, or early meetings with vendors? That you'll figure that pretty quickly. So if you aren't going to go with book a meeting, then ask a question to solicit engagement. For example, I use the 2 things that sales leaders wake up to, and I'm personalizing to the individual persona, not to the individual. I might close my question with, Mark, are those 2 things that I mentioned challenges for you? If so, I think a 30-minute discussion would be worth it. Here are 3 dates and times. If not, no problem, just let me know. Because I don't want to talk to you if you don't have a problem that I can solve. If you have 100% of all your leads coming in from marketing and you need no other help to be able to source, and your salespeople are not prospecting and it's all inbound, hallelujah. You represent the top 5% of most sales organizations that never have that privilege. So those are the things I think from an area of opportunity are super important that we think about. Don't just throw more technology at it. It's technology with skill development, and go back down to the right sales message.
Mario, this is exactly why I've been wanting to have a conversation with you for a long time. There was a lot to unpack there, a tremendous amount of value in a very short period of time. A couple, lots stood out at me, but a few things that I'll highlight of the personalization, of course, finding ways to be able to connect with them. As you said, we're inundated with different information. We can go out, we can do the research ourselves. So finding ways of being able to connect in a genuine way is going to differentiate just from the spam that's coming in that has no connection whatsoever. But I also love the fact that you suggest at least 2 weeks out or even 3 weeks out to suggest that meeting, because I would tell you firsthand, an offer comes in my LinkedIn messaging or comes into email that says, can we meet later this week? It's an auto delete. I will immediately, because I feel the same way. Like, you have no appreciation of my time whatsoever. Your your urgency is more important than whatever I may have going on. And there was lots more there. So really, thank you for walking us through the PVC strategy and really kind of honing in on understanding how we can put the right process in place to set us up to have more of those first conversations. Oh. The last thing we'll talk about is really on a personal note, something that, and this may be a little unexpected. I didn't warn you ahead of time that I was going to ask this, but I think that you can roll with it. You personally, when you get up and you want to be successful today, and I bet you do every single day, what is an essential belief or an essential practice that you do on a daily basis that has led to an incredible amount of success in your career and your life?
So recently I heard a quote from our chief customer officer, Priya Sachdev, And I really appreciated it. And I really appreciated it. We were having a conversation with our reps, and one of the things that she said was, "Hey, when you show up to work every single day, you don't come internally or externally to play to participate. You come to play to win." And man, that just really struck me like, yes, everything that I've ever thought about, believed, and what I've done personally is I never came just to be a participant, just to be a good soul on the sales team, just to be able to, I'm cool with me to be able to hit 100%. No, I came every single day to beat the other 10,000 sales reps when I was in a large corporation, to beat them all out and become the number one sales rep. And if you want to know, out of my 18 years in corporate, 18 corporate years before I opened up my own company 6 years ago, 15 of those 18 years were spent at either President's Club or 100% Club. Now, President's Club, of course, is the creme de la creme. And I can absolutely tell you that I achieved in the big corporation Fortune 100 at least 5 times the number one rep in the world. Right? Now that's big. And so when she said that, you come to play, you don't come to play to participate, you come to play to win. And I think most people, if they take a step back, they have to ask themselves, am I showing up every day to win? Am I showing up every day to win, including everybody internally? It's all friendly competition, but guess what? It's competition. You find the best salesperson within your organization, or the best competitor. If you're a soloist or small business, or you only got a few sales folks, the best competitor that is kicking your butt, and you go to play to win, to beat them. And of course, make sure you do it in a friendly style if it's internal, but let them know, hey man, I'm coming to unseat your throne, to unseat you off the throne there. Let them know, because that's going to be able to get that competitive juices flowing. And I think that's super important. So never come to play to participate, come to play to win.
I love that philosophy. If you're going to do it at the best, the highest level possible. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And this time goes by so quickly. To wrap up, undoubtedly there have been people in your career that have had an impact or continue to have an impact on your success. Are there one or two names that jump out at you that you'd like to mention that perhaps I should connect with and invite on the show?
That's a great question. There are plenty of folks that you can reach out to that have had an impact on me. Early on in my career, I've had some mentors, Greg Wolf, Marsha Jepson. And then in terms of both sales development as well as management, I would absolutely encourage you to reach out to Lynn Pinchek and Monty McGaffigan, both awesome leaders. My favorite sales leaders happen to be women in the organization. One, because they knew that I was a hothead, and they could always help to mold and shape me. So for some reason, I had a difficult time with other men. But that having been said, a lot of great leaders that have impacted my career.
Well, Mario Martinez Jr., thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. I'm already looking forward to the next one, but thanks for taking the time to do this.
Mark, thank you for having me.
You bet. And listeners, thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode. If you're not already subscribed to the show, make sure that you do that so that you'll be notified of upcoming episodes. And until next time, I hope you reach invincible success.